Hello and welcome to Freedom Gulch podcast, our 11th episode. Today we're going to be talking about various topics, topics in the news, topics Libertarian Party, and also a pretty big issue that one of our contributors, Michael Pickens, right here, just made some news himself. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I'm joined by Michael Pickens and Andy, and hopefully maybe somebody will come join us a little bit later. We'll see. First, let's go ahead and talk about it. Michael, you want to go ahead and tell us about it?
Yeah, so this last weekend I went out to New York City to help out and do a seminar for Alex Merced's Senate campaign, and got to meet with Larry Sharp talking about his potential governor's race. And it was coming out of dinner. Just so happened the restaurant was right next to the hotel I was staying at, and I walk outside and I see a city worker in his truck sleeping. So I decide that I'm going to pull my phone out and I'm going to start recording. Well, his buddies saw me. Long story short, I ended up having about four different city workers surround me while I'm out there, and I'm backing up into the hotel lobby. And they back me up all the way to the elevators in the hotel lobby. And one of the guys, big guy, he just reaches out and grabs my phone from me and takes off right out the door. So I follow him out and heading out there, walk 2 blocks down the road, and all of a sudden now I've got cops surrounding me too. So they're all dressed in, city worker gear, right? Doing road construction or whatever it is. And cops arrest me as I'm saying, he stole my phone, he needs to give me my phone back, and the cops arrest me. And the cops, I'm repeating over and over again, tell me what crime I committed, right? Why are you arresting me? He's the one who stole my phone. He's the one who stole my phone. Why are you arresting me? So what do? They take me to the hospital. They say I have mental issues. I'm repeating over and over, tell me why you're arresting me. Tell me what crime I committed. And they won't tell me. So they take me into the hospital, and in the hospital, they check me in there, they take the handcuffs off, they give me my phone back, and they say, wait right here, and the cops take off, go around the corner. I'm sitting there chatting with the nurse. I don't know if you guys saw the picture on Facebook that I posted of the nurse laughing as I'm having a conversation with her, and I realize over to the left there's another exit, the opposite direction where the cops are. So I decide to get up and leave. So I walked out. The nurse was like, hey, where are you going? I said, it's okay, I'll be right back, it's okay. And I just kept walking, pulled my phone up, and luckily they had Uber in New York City. And I got an Uber, hopped in the Uber, had them take me back to my hotel room, right? But in the meantime, basically, they arrested me, put me in handcuffs. Both of my hands are still numb, by the way. They had them so tight. But the cops could not tell me why they were arresting me. Took me to the hospital. I don't know what they were planning on doing after that because I bounced. But long story short, that's what it was. So if you're ever going to New York City, don't record the city workers. I guess it's illegal, or they think it's illegal.
So it's really illegal in New York City to.
No, I don't believe it is illegal, which is
evidence of mental problems, apparently.
Yeah, which is why they couldn't tell me why they were arresting me. First they said I was harassing the city workers. Well, no, I was just videotaping them, right? They could still do what they needed to do. I was not getting in their way. They came after me, chased me into the hotel lobby. I was backed up against the back wall. One of the guys grabbed my phone, and then I went after them. So they were trying to say that I was chasing them down the street, which, of course, I was. The guy had my phone. I'm not just going to say, okay, great, you stole my phone, see you later. I'm just going to let that go. Yeah. So that's pretty much what it is. So I called the hotel today because in the lobby, of course, they have cameras. So I figured I'd call them up, get the recording of that, so at least I have proof that the guy stole my phone, and I don't know who it was. I don't have names. I don't even have names of the arresting officers because they never cited me. They never gave me any paperwork or anything like that. The only thing is I have this wristband from the hospital, right, when they check me in. So the hotel tells me, they ask me, well, did you file a police report for my stolen phone? I said, well, no, I didn't file a police report. They said, well, we can't give you the footage until you get a police report, and then the police will come in and look at the footage to see if there's anything on there. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to help me whatsoever. So I said, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and talk to my attorney. So I actually have one of my attorney friends right now typing up the paperwork to get discovery on a pending legal matter from the hotel. So we'll see how that goes. But that's the long story short on what happened.
Man, I'm surprised that I thought Uber was banned from New York City. Are they still
the funny thing is, Uber is legal in New York City, nowhere else in New York. Just in New York City.
Well, I'm glad I was there for you, but that's what New York has been always ranked one of the bottom freedom states in the United States. It's regularly one of the bottom three, you know, it in California and maybe another Massachusetts or something like that. So, I mean, this kind of shows that it definitely goes along with those rankings. Did you notice anything else while you're there that kind of, you know, the police state or whatever, the you know, the losing of freedoms there?
You know, not really. The next morning, I had to fly out. The TSA, you know, patted me down, but this time, I guess they did a swab of my luggage, and it tested positive for something. So they had to pull everything out of my suitcase and, you know, test everything out of that, and a very thorough pat down, which really pissed me off. And it was early in the morning too, so I decided, well, after this, after the night before and that morning getting patted down, I need a drink. I really need a drink. I went to the bar there, and they couldn't serve me alcohol because in New York you can't serve alcohol until 8 o'clock in the morning. Just to top it off.
That's great. So do you usually get the pat down, or do you opt out of the scanner? What do you do?
I usually opt out of the scanner. Sometimes if I'm running late, I'll just go through it. Most of the time it's just fine. This time, for some reason, the TSA agent that I got was a real asshole, and I was not happy this time around.
Did you get like the little notice that they went through all your luggage, or did they do that in front of you?
Yeah, they went through it there in front of me. They pulled everything out in front of me, and I bring pre-workout drinks with me wherever I go, right? And it's white powder, so they pulled those out. They had to test those for whatever.
You know, this
an extra 45 minutes.
Yeah, this past summer when I flew out to Las Vegas, actually, first time I traveled with my handgun because I was road tripping back. I wanted to have my handgun, you know, for self-defense. And they give you special treatment when you have a handgun. You know, they actually have to check it, make sure it's cleared and everything like that. And then they actually walk you, you know, from the check-in to the actual luggage drop-off. And then when you land, then they take it to the office. You have to pick it up. But, you know, I was watching them unload and load the baggage, and they're actually taking really good care of my baggage. You know, they weren't throwing it around because it had like a, you know, special firearms, you know, whatever thing on it. And, you know, maybe you should travel with a handgun next time. You know, maybe they'll take better care of your luggage.
Will they allow me to travel into New York City with a handgun?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. So, anyways. Yeah, so that was my experience. So we'll see what happens. I'll file to get that video. But I know for a fact in that video, it's only going to be maybe a minute of them backing me into the hotel lobby. So I'm surrounded by these construction workers, and one of them just walks up, grabs my phone out of my hand, and then walks right out. But at least that corroborates the story of me getting my phone stolen.
Right.
The reason why I was following them down the street, which they said I was harassing them. So
you were arrested, but then you weren't given any citation or any paper, or what? Oh,
well, they told me to wait in the hospital. They told me to wait there. They took my handcuffs off and they gave me my phone back, and they said, "Wait right here. We'll be right back." I don't know what the nurse was planning on doing, if they were going to do, you know, blood test or whatever. But I didn't wait. I didn't wait to find out. So I think they took off to try to like powwow and figure out what it is they were going to charge me, because they have to charge me with something. They arrested me and brought me into the hospital, right?
Right.
They've got to charge me with something. And yeah, I had a few drinks. We just got done with dinner, and I had a few drinks. So they could have easily did the blood alcohol test and said, "Oh, well, you had some alcohol in your system. You're drunk. We're going to charge you with a drunk in public or disorderly conduct or whatever they want to do." Right? They have that. They can just, do whatever they want as long as they have that. But I didn't stick around to see what they were going to do.
What happened since you didn't stick around? Like, could they possibly do a warrant or anything for your arrest or anything like that? Or
I talked to my buddy who's an attorney, and they said they can possibly charge me with something afterwards, but I don't know. I really don't care at this point. As long as I can get that footage, I'll be just fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, that's definitely an interesting story, and I'm glad you're back in Washington and safe.
Yeah, very exciting.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and let's get into some other topics. Andy posted a lot of topics. He's our topics guy usually. And looks like Gary Johnson supports carbon taxes. You want to talk a little bit about that, Andy?
It's not a carbon tax, it's a carbon fee.
So how does this carbon fee work?
All of this stuff, it's just getting old at this point. It's hard to keep the same level of outrage, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like the Juno News or something. He's telling them that it's not a carbon tax, it's a carbon fee, and it's a free market solution, and all this.
Whenever they say it's a fee and not a tax, it reminds me of Obamacare, and it's you're forced to get it, but if somehow it's not a tax, so I guess you're not forced to emit carbon. Is that the way around that, making that a fee?
He also said it was a free market solution.
Somebody might want to learn what a free market is. There is no taxes and fees in a truly free market.
Yeah, they're looking to do that here in Washington State. Stephen Nielsen was running for Public Lands Commissioner, and he was the only.
It's frustrating, man.
Andy, I think you're getting a little bit of lag. Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, so they're trying to do that here in Washington State, and our Public Lands Commissioner candidate, Stephen Nielsen, he was the only one in the debates with his 6 other opponents that was against what they called a carbon market. So companies would buy units of carbon on the marketplace that they created.
It's a free market, though, right?
Oh yeah, they're calling it the carbon market.
Carboncare.gov.
to be able to, you purchase the units of carbon to be able to emit that carbon out of whatever business you own. It's not a free market solution. It doesn't stop anything.
And so, how do they measure? Do they make you buy like a carbon, carbon emissions calculator or whatever? It measures the carbon that you emit.
I don't know.
That's very true because they have to watch that all of a sudden.
Yeah. There's going to be a carbon enforcement board. There's going to be new carbon regulators showing up.
Just a lot more bureaucracy, huh?
Big time.
A lot more red tape and hoops and hurdles to jump through. Sounds like a free market to me.
Yeah, every time Gary Johnson or Bill Weld comes out and says these things, I'm like, oh, well, I agree with them 90% of the time. And then it's like, oh, I agree with them 88% of the time. I agree with them 85% of the time. It just keeps going down. It seems like almost every day something new is coming out. However, the good side of it is that I guarantee that they will get more votes than any other Libertarian presidential candidate in history, which is going to be great for us here in Washington if they at least get 5% of the vote, because that means that we are now a major party according to Washington state law. We have ballot access. It opens the precinct committee officer system that the Republicans and Democrats use, so we now have that system that's opened up for us. It's going to help us out across the board, and that's what I just keep reminding myself of.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we still have a responsibility to let people know that, yeah, there's no other libertarian candidate, I don't care what position that they're at, that I've ever heard supporting a carbon tax. I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, you want to take care of the libertarian name. You know, so many people are learning about libertarianism, the Libertarian Party, for the first time, and they're hearing the stuff that Bill Weld and Gary Johnson are saying, and you're like, that's not libertarianism, you know. But it's hard because they're the ones that are finally breaking through, getting the media coverage, and seen as a viable candidacy. But at the same time, it's like you want to stay true to your roots, and you don't want people to get the wrong impression of what libertarianism is.
Yeah, and you know what's really okay? Let's look at a positive side. They're finally doing some ad buys, major radio, major TV ad buys from the campaign. This is really exciting because as someone in sales and marketing, I understand that advertising is key. So you see companies that cut their advertising budget, and as soon as they cut their advertising budget, their company goes downhill, sales go down. And it really is sales. That's what we're doing. And if we're trying to get 15% in the polls to get Gary in the debate, we need to advertise, we need to market. That's where the majority of the money should be going, although it's not. Now they're finally starting to spend some money on it, which is a good thing. It may be too little too late because we don't have much time. What is it, a couple weeks or a week left? For those polls?
Oh, the polls, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, whenever you don't see commercials from a certain company, you kind of like forget about them, you know,
Yeah.
or you think that they must not be doing too well because you don't see the commercials like you used to. So yeah, definitely getting your name, your image out there, it ingrains people's brains with that, and so that's what definitely helps you along with building your credibility, building your visibility, and being able to actually break through that glass ceiling and become a major party. Andy, for us to get major party status in Virginia, is it just on the state level, for like governor or U.S. Senate, or could Gary Johnson's presidential election get us major party status?
Yeah, Gary could. Were he to get to 10%, we would have ballot access here in Virginia. It's any of the statewide races.
So anything that people can vote on that's statewide. Okay, so presidential would.
Yeah, president, senate, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and those are the ones that we got to start getting ready for next year too.
Yeah.
We're in that weird situation where we have an election.
Yeah. What's your percentage threshold in Washington, Michael?
To get major party status?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's specifically for the presidential candidate, and it's at 5%.
Okay, that's hopefully. We'll see what happens. You never know what can happen, but hopefully it'd be great if we both can get major party status because that will help us so much on the local and state level. Not have to spend so much man hours, money, and time, resources on gathering petitions. Which let me go ahead. Let's while we're talking about petitions, let's go ahead and talk about Mick Mullen, the independent conservative, who Andy brought up that he failed to get on Tennessee, and supposedly Tennessee has some really, really easy ballot access laws where he only had to get 275 signatures, and he didn't get half of that. He got 129. I wish our state had a 275 signature, to get on the ballot. That's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, that just, if you can't get more than 129 signatures in one state, he's already missed the deadline for, 35?
That's like one volunteer and not paying anyone.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy's an opportunist. They're looking at, a last-ditch effort to get his name out there and build it up. Watch, this guy's not going to go anywhere after this election. He's going to try to build a name for himself. But what is it? Former CIA, former Goldman Sachs, former, a bunch of just statist organizations that he's worked for. He's just another establishment guy. So.
Yeah, never heard of him before until this. This announcement, but. Go ahead, Andy.
I'll be honest with you, when he's not talking about foreign policy, sounds okay. When it's free market stuff like that, his
Does he really
name
mean free
kind of
market,
rhymes
or is
with.
it more of the carbon emissions free markets?
This is what I'm saying. You know, the world's a relative place. But so I had a friend who came out to the Arlington County Fair this weekend. I didn't realize that the CIA recruits heavily at BYU in Mormon communities. So that's an extra pull to Utah that he's got. These guys are, squeaky clean. You're not worrying about a drug problem. You're not worrying about skeletons in the closet. They're disciplined. They're ready to do all this. His name sounds like a McDonald's breakfast food, and his head kind of looks like one. Raimondo's taking calling him Egg McMuffin. We'll see. He's decided he was going to start petitioning in Virginia a week ago.
When's the deadline?
Friday.
Friday.
I just
And
put
we
my
have
last batch.
how many signatures do you need to get? And you have to get a certain amount in each congressional district on top of that.
5,000 plus. Yeah. Well, 5,000 including 200 from each district.
Yeah. So he didn't get that in Tennessee, and he has to get that in one congressional district 11 times in Virginia, plus, included into 5,000 signatures. Confirmed, not just total. Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, maybe if he decides to pay some really big money for signatures, maybe I might look into that,
Well, apparently he is.
Well, what's his fundraising?
I know
no clue about him.
Cigarette referendum was paying $22 this year, but I guess he's paying $12. So.
I'm sorry, what? How much?
McMullen, the rumor is he's paying $12
per signature.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey,
Michael, you want to come to Virginia, man?
Damn, dude, $12 a signature? That's unheard of.
I got, 150, 250 a day. Makes some good money.
Yeah. Apparently, there was the referendum to to lower the cigarette age in California back to 18 was paying 22 earlier this year. But other than that, that's the best I've heard. Yeah.
That's
Holy cow.
You get a signature an hour and you're doing all right,
Well, yeah, and those guys carry like 3 boards with 3 different petitions on them. They're getting 4 for this one and 5 for that one and 22 for this one.
Let me ask you this. Is McMullen the reason why Gary Johnson offered Romney a cabinet position? Because McMullen's pulling from the Mormon vote there. Gary Johnson's trying to make sure that he's got his in.
That's a good segue into the next topic.
I planned that one.
Good job, Michael. Yeah, so that's a good point. It might be a play, to try to get the Mormon vote, because Gary Johnson's been doing really well in Utah and Nevada, which both have very high Mormon populations.
He stuck his foot in his mouth, though, and there was a really weird quote where he's talking about the black hole of religious freedom.
Oh, yeah.
And he references, he's listing off these crazy things, and he's like, you want to go take the sword to people like Mormons or something. And that really hurt him with those people. I almost want to say that the Romney guarantee of a cabinet position was more about Romney than about Mormons in general, although a Romney endorsement clearly would lead to, a significant Mormon vote. We'll see. I just think he's more desperate now than with McMullen in the race to get Romney.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Last time we spoke, one Republican U.S. congressman endorsed him. I'm expecting more to come. We'll see, who all does it and how many, and if there's any big names. Just hope it doesn't, water down the message even more than it already has been. But I guess, they're trying to really play to the middle America, I guess. I don't know. But
So this is what I think, man. we need educators, we need teachers at the top of our ticket, people who can articulate libertarian principle, right? At the same time, make it appealing to the masses. That's what I loved about Larry Sharp so much, because he stuck to principle, but at the same time, I had regular people listen to his videos, and I've just done this recently, and they loved it, and they agreed with everything he had to say, and he was like, this is so refreshing, hearing
Right.
this versus just repeating moderate talking points, kind of like what we're seeing Gary Johnson do. Oh, what's the popular thing right now? Oh, carbon tax, carbon credits. Let's talk about, instead of offering the libertarian solution. So I am really excited. Larry is actually putting together a libertarian communication course right now, talking about issues and how we can talk about these issues to the average person, and to speak without offending, listen without being offended, and really communicate to the way that touches people, their hearts and minds, right? That's what his big thing is. This is what he does professionally, so I'm really excited about that course when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I really was impressed with Larry Sharp. I was disappointed that he didn't get it. He almost pulled it out. Of course, you had a lot to do with that, Michael, at the convention. And I know you were in New York, and you probably met up with Larry as well. I think he has a great future in the party. I think, like you said, we need to get communicators that can communicate libertarianism without offending people, without being overly dogmatic. That had the positive spin and can really just allow people to absorb libertarianism. For the masses. I think Larry Sharp is definitely one of those guys that will be, looked upon in our party going forward. And I look forward to him. Is he running for New York governor, or what's the...
That's the plan right now. I guess we say there's an exploratory committee or some kind of semantic BS, because he has not announced. However,
Right.
We're going to be using that campaign to show how a libertarian campaign really should be run, a large campaign should be run. He has a huge opportunity to raise a lot of money as well, and to show that, a libertarian campaign, a big libertarian campaign, doesn't need to spend 90% of their income on salaries. It doesn't need to spend 20% of their income on salaries. Let's put the majority of the money into advertising and then into marketing. Let's make sure all the grassroots people, let's get everyone to have 50-yard signs, to be able to put those up all around their communities, not just an entire state with 50-yard signs or 500-yard signs. Let's make sure. You got 0 so far. I think our stuff is coming. It's been coming for a month now, for Washington State. I'm not sure. Yeah. But anyways, we're going to show exactly how campaigns should be run, fiscally responsible, right, and not socially awkward. So it'll be very exciting over the next couple years to see how that goes.
Was that 2018?
It is a 2018 race.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Larry Sharp should move to Virginia, run for governor of Virginia next year. It's an off year. You can get donations nationally. It's unlimited donations. We're not limited to anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. I think Larry should move to Virginia.
We're ready for it. Tell Larry, coming to Virginia.
We went through the campaign finance stuff for the state of New York. It's a $51,000 cap per individual for donations. $7,000 in the primary.
Pretty high.
Yeah, $44,000 in the general. So it's pretty high already. And he can accept donations from out of state. We're just going to show what we can do without money, and how advertising and marketing can actually bring in more money and bring in more support. Right. The way that we should be doing at the national level, at the national party should be advertising. Obviously, the Gary Johnson campaign and any of our national campaigns, whoever our presidential candidate is in 2020, we just set an example. We set the bar. This is how a campaign should be run.
This could be a case study for future, future campaigns, particularly the 2020 election. Being very efficient with your money, with marketing. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I know with Mr. Michael Pickens, it's going to be a good product. And, of course, Larry Sharp is very impressive with his communication skills. So definitely looking forward to that in a couple of years.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
So what do we got next? What's the next topic?
Let's see. William Weld is running as himself. not as a libertarian, but he's running as himself. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Just another example of the same things we've been talking about.
yeah, he didn't he didn't read the platform until the convention. You know,
Has he said that, or?
that's what I remember from the convention. That someone just gave him a copy there. You know, but in that article, in that Reason article, when they said that William Weld just liked the adventure, he liked flying around first class and talking to political journalists, and he just liked the whole process of being in politics. It's like, oh, fuck.
He just likes the game of it.
Yeah, the game of it. This is not the right reason.
Tour.
Yeah, not the right reason for our VP candidate. But he'll bring in all this money, which, granted, their donations are way up from last night. Their donations are way up, but at the same time, would they be getting the same kind of support or media attention if we didn't have Trump and Clinton, the worst candidates in history? That's the question we got to ask, and I don't know because it's all hypothetical. However, there's nothing we can do about it now, and there's only 2.5 months left, less than 2.5 months. So we are almost done. Thank God.
Yeah, we're on the home stretch. I'm ready to get this election over with. I'm just hearing all the stuff that Trump and Hillary say, and of course, I try to avoid it because it's just nonsense to me. Just really just superficial and just dumb. This is what's said, what's the big news about them. But a lot of people like to bring it up, to you. You see Trump said this or Hillary did this and whatnot. It's just like I'm just ready for election season to be over personally.
Oh yeah.
Excited to see how the Libertarians do, but I'm definitely ready for this to be over.
Yeah.
What I'm even more excited about is the 2018 election season. I think I know of 8 candidates that are going to be running for governor as libertarians in their states come 2018, and there's not going to be a presidential election going on. So these big races for governor, for U.S. Senate, I think Austin Peterson may be considering running for U.S. Senate in Missouri. I don't, it's not confirmed, but there, Will Coley may be running for a big office. Just seeing all these dynamic guys, right, that are running at the state level in their respective states is just going to be amazing to see. So.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully this year, at the very least, we get major party status. We get some momentum to carry into next year in 2018, and then also 2020. Just hopefully, I know the message is not what we would like it to be, and the messengers are not who we want to be. But hopefully, it's a net positive for the Libertarian Party in the end.
Look, as far as our presidential candidates go, they've got track records. They've got credibility. For brand new people looking at the party and looking at our campaign, it's a net positive, I believe. Right? When I supported Gary Johnson in 2012, he has a track record. There's accomplishments in his past that we can go out there and be proud of. And I've talked to a lot of people about the campaign and said a lot of positive things to the general public, never brought up any of the negative, just talk about the positive. Him climbing the tallest peaks on 7 continents and being, an Ironman triathlete and vetoing over 700 bills. Those are accomplishments that we can help promote, and at the same time, it's going to bring new people on board. Now, we use the new attention, and we bring new people on board, and then we can educate them with more libertarian philosophy. I've become more libertarian over the years. I'm sure you guys have as well. So it's going to be a net benefit, a net positive, but it's something that will never go away.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we're able to get these people into the door and then educate them, or at least have them continue their study into libertarianism, and they don't get just stuck with the way they came into it. As most of us who came into the party or libertarian thought didn't come out as Rothbardian, or ANCAPs or whatever. We started somewhere, got to the point that we are. So hopefully it is a net positive in the end. And
Yeah.
I believe it will be, but you never know. Hopefully it is. So let's go ahead. Let's talk about the Trump staff shakeup. I think Trump's on his third campaign manager now. Is that right?
At least.
Yeah.
And so he's got all these different people, right? And they all have different names, different titles. We had Corey Lewandowski, who was he had the battery case against him. Paul Manafort comes in and he gets him through the primary, but he's like, buds with Yanukovych in Ukraine. Which at some point, this is the business that all of us are in. But he's out because he wouldn't let Trump be Trump, and so now you've got the Breitbart chairman or executive director, and there are all these stories coming out about the kind of meetings that he used to run, which would just confirm every single stereotype that people have about Breitbart News. And then some just random pollster is now the campaign manager.
What's his name?
It's a woman. I forget her name. I saw her interviewed, and actually, she wasn't that bad as far as driving. She's just kind of a no-name.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, 2.5 months left.
I don't know.
How much? What else? What else are they going to be able to do to boost his poll numbers? Because Hillary's trumping him.
Yeah.
On the polls.
Yeah, I don't think Trump's going to be able to pull it out. It's just I think he turns off too many people. He's going to have a lot of very passionate supporters, which I would call the ignorant caucus. This all stripes of life. The ignorant caucus of everybody, every walk of life. But I think he just turns off.
Did you check out his statue? That life-size statue of him? That was funny.
No, I'll have to check that out.
So let's talk about the statue for a second, because what would happen if somebody put up a bunch of statues of a naked Hillary Clinton? Or if somebody put up a bunch of statues of a naked Barack Obama?
Well, what happened was Facebook left up Donald Trump's statue, but when they created the Hillary Clinton statue, they took it down. They pulled it. Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. It definitely wasn't in good taste, but it's still freedom of speech. But I can see Trump having that small man syndrome, right?
No, I'm looking at the pictures right now. Oh, God. Oh, man. That's he does have little hands, so Yeah, but no, there definitely is a double standard. If they would do something like this, and I'm not supporting Trump or I don't like him at all. But if they did this to Hillary Clinton, then it'll be sexist and it'd be whatever they would say about it, and so there is definitely a double standard. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right, well, what about Clinton pay for play? Are you talking about the Clinton Foundation, Andy?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's just, just corruption. I mean, what do you expect?
If you get paid $1 million to give an hour-long speech from a foreign organization, of course you're going to freaking owe them something. Who gets paid $1 million to give a speech, right?
People with power and the ability to give more than $1 million back to them and benefits.
Yeah. Well, when you're president, you can write executive orders and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Gary Johnson.
Which one's better? Which one's worse? Which one's better? It's just like Trump doesn't have the demeanor, but then Hillary's just so crooked. I mean, looking at her Clinton Foundation, other dealings, it's just like pick your poison. I mean, of course, I would love to see Gary Johnson and Bill Weld win, obviously, but I'm a logical, rational guy. I know that's probably not going to happen unless something ridiculous happens. So it's just like, well, which one do you pick? The guy who talks a big game and is flamboyant and has a horrible demeanor and probably say horrible things that wouldn't be very diplomatic, or the corrupt establishment person that's been in horrible dealings with foreign regimes and governments. Which one?
I really hope they get into the debates. I really hope Gary Johnson gets into the debate and he watches some Nigel Farage videos before the debate. If you watch any Nigel Farage videos, if you look at the history of UKIP, started in 1993, 6 years later, Nigel Farage was elected to the European Parliament from a brand new party, elected to one of the highest positions in the country. And then after that, now 2014, they had a majority in the European Parliament. Just this year, they got 113 council members elected to local councils around the United Kingdom and 7 elected to the Welsh Parliament. Just amazing growth in a short amount of time. And the main reason why, if you watch his speeches, they are passionate, and he attacks corruption. He goes after the establishment, and he inspires people to take action. He inspires new candidates, new activists all around the country. And in a way, Gary Johnson is inspiring people, but he does it in a very mild manner way.
Right.
It doesn't get a lot of activity, right? There's a huge libertarian base out there right now that's just kind of like, nah, I could go do a whole lot more. I've collected signatures for Gary Johnson, but it's just not that exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to have more fire, man. He's got to go out there swinging.
Yeah, and he definitely needs to have some coaching, debate coaching. I hope he doesn't go up there and is, awkward and fumbling over his words and, pulling a Gary,
Yeah.
I don't know. It still seems unlikely to me that they would make it. At least this first one. I hope he watches some Harry Brown. But I think you're right. Like, how do you get excited about Hillary Clinton as a wonderful public servant? If I'm excited about that, wouldn't I go vote for Hillary Clinton?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't really understand that play, because the people who are going to be pulling from the Democratic side are going to be the Bernie Sanders supporters that hate Hillary Clinton. You're not. I don't think you really have anything to gain by saying that she's a wonderful public servant.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There's definitely a lot of head scratchers. We'll see what happens.
I'm just gonna go have some drinks right now, guys. I can't handle this.
All right. Last topic. All right. One more topic, Michael. Stay with me for one more topic.
You got it. I'm here. I'm not really gonna go have drinks, but
mandatory education. This is our discussion, more of a philosophical side instead of like current events. Let's just talk about mandatory education. Do you think that is a good thing, a just thing? Do you think it benefits the society, the children as a whole? What's your opinion? Go ahead, Andy.
I believe that education benefits children as a whole. I don't believe that mandatory anything benefits anyone. This is another kind of interesting one that I've had to learn and work my way through as a libertarian. But people are good. We believe and we understand that most people want to see their children be successful, and most people understand that part of that is an education. But people ought to have the freedom to do that in any way that they want, and furthermore, children should have access to education outside that, not subsidized by anyone else, but.
Yeah, so I look at the one-size-fits-all system that's set up right now. That's their mandatory education, right? The school's got to be approved by the government. It's got to teach certain things that the government wants taught. The mandatory system that's set up right now is not. It's set up for a certain type of student to succeed, but it's also set up to run everyone through the college system, even though not everyone needs to go to college. If we had more of a free market education system, you'd see all these different types of schools start up. So if a kid's 13 years old and he's not having a lot of success with math and science and reading, whatever else, but he likes building with Legos, right? He likes something like that. Maybe the parents can take him to another school that teaches construction skills or a type of trade, welding, carpentry, something else, right, that kid would succeed in. I was horrible in school. I barely graduated high school. I didn't go to college, but when I was 15, I worked. Right? I worked at a restaurant washing dishes. After I graduated high school, I got a job as a tile setter's helper. Right? I started setting tile for a living, and I did that for 4 years. I learned how to set tile, and I really enjoyed that. It was building with my hands. That was something that I really enjoyed, building from the ground up. And then I got into self-education and started learning about sales and marketing, things that I really was interested in. However, there was this entire time through school, through public education, that I just wasted. It was just a big waste of my time for the most part. I did get some fundamental skills there, but a lot of the time was wasted. I took Algebra 1 3 years in a row, and my favorite class in high school was art. Right? I took that 3 years in a row, and now I got A's through that, because that's what was interesting to me. However, this one-size-fits-all system is not the way to go. We need to have diversity in the education system. We need to have competition. So this mandatory education that all the government's going to control everything. For example, here in Washington State, we have charter schools. We have some charter schools, but the people who run the charter schools have to be approved by the government education system. The superintendent of schools have to approve the people who are going to run the charter schools. So guess what? It's their former teachers and administrators running these charter schools, and they're still teaching the same curriculum. Not much has changed, right? So it's false competition. So yeah, they just need to open up competition in the marketplace, which will bring more diversity to it and actually train children skills that will really help them in the future. There's jobs right now. There's a lot of jobs that are available, but most of them are in the trades, and kids are being taught that they got to go to college. They need a liberal arts degree, something like that.
Hey man, I got a liberal arts degree. All right.
and what do you do?
Nothing worth it. I got a good education from it. I enjoy my college.
Sure.
I went there to further my education. But yeah, with mandatory education, it sounds great. Like, yeah, we need to have educated people. But what happens is that we get the system that we have now, the one-size-fits-all, the cookie-cutter system, and that started being implemented when I was going through high school. We started having mandatory SOLs. And I remember spending a third of the year having to do these busy worksheets and study for the SOLs and everything. All they are doing is essentially making sure that you can regurgitate this information, pass this test so they can get the funding from the state and federal level. And it's just ridiculous. I didn't study. I was very blessed. I didn't study. I took zeros or 50s in my homework grades, and I aced my tests. And I take the SOLs, didn't study, didn't pay attention to it, and I get an advanced score, whatever. But, when my sister went through school, I have a really young sister, she's 15, and she didn't fit. She couldn't survive in that system. Not everybody can fit in that system. And so you really see the school, what's lacking, that they are failing the kids, that there's so many kids that are being left behind. And of course, with the George Bush No Kid Left Behind, but there's being so many kids left behind because of this cookie cutter system. And if you don't fit in, they don't really have much of an incentive to educate you in your manner that you learn. And it's just horrible. It doesn't teach any logic or any problem solving or any skills that are actually relevant to life. All you're taught is just the stuff that you just regurgitate this information and take this test, and so that we are accredited and everything like that. And like Michael's talking about, we've gone away from trade skills. Everybody, I remember going through high school, they always ask, you're going to go to college. What college are you going to go to? And they give you all this information. And we had Valley Tech, like a vocational school, but it was kind of looked down upon. It wasn't really. We weren't trying to get kids to go over there, but it really should. You should. I love working with my hands, but I wanted to go. I wanted to be an engineer, and then that kind of changed once I went to college anyway. But we definitely are with the subsidizing of higher education, college through subsidized guarantee loans and such. We're trying to funnel everybody to college, and so we have all these people that are going to college that really shouldn't be going to college, to be honest. And it's really drove down the value of a college degree. And then we have a shortage of people that in the trade industry, plumbers and contractors and craftsmen, because we have all these educated people that are trying to look for jobs that are not there. And I call us the generation underemployed, because we have all these people that have gone to college and now they're working 2 part-time jobs or a job that only requires a high school diploma. And we have all these job openings for trade and skilled positions. And it's just this is a symptom of our education system that's failed. So I'm against mandatory education. I think that you open up the market, allow people to do what they're going to do. People are going to be educated. They're going to make sure that their kids are educated. Just like we've taken into the hands for my sister, we have taken her out of public school and have been homeschooling her. I do the curriculum for her, but since I'm not the parent, I can't be the instructor, so my mom has to be the instructor. But I help my mom along with everything. But it's sad because it's just you take all these years of math, and really in your life, all you need is arithmetic. 99% of the time, all you need is arithmetic. But you're going through trigonometry and calculus and algebra and all this stuff, and you're just wasting so much time on that. And just I'm definitely against that.
I'm really good at math when I have a calculator. Let me tell you.
That's the thing. I mean, we have my phone's over there, but we have these portable calculators. We don't even need a fancy calculator to carry around. We got them on our in our pockets or on our hips anyway with the phone. I mean, technology. You don't need all this skills. I mean, I think you need to have basic arithmetic. I think that's important. But like the higher up stuff is not used in day-to-day life unless you're an engineer or something along the lines like that.
All right, cool guys. You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, I think that's going to end it. Any final words?
Live free.
Live free. All right.
Live free.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, and join us in 2 weeks again. All right.
All right.
Sounds good.